morning. This is Breakfast with John Kay and Sally Nugent.
Wednesday morning, just after 8:30, and there's been loads of debate in the last couple of years about e-scooters, hasn't there? Are they a green solution to get roads moving in our towns and cities, or are they just dangerous?
Now, that's something being discussed by MPs on the Transport Select Committee later on this morning. Nina has been looking at the pros and cons. She is outside the office right now. Morning, Nina.
Yes, good morning. These things are never straightforward, are they? Good morning from right outside the building. You're up there, I'm down here. You might love them, you might loathe them. We're talking about electronic e-scooters. Now, these ones you might recognise as the model that you can rent out by your local authority, your local council. They're being trialled in lots of towns and cities to zip around and reduce carbon emissions in your car. The ones behind, you can see that Pinny and Yossi and Nathan are on. Don't wave, lads. They are the private ones that can only be used on private land. The distinction between the two is causing some confusion on the roads. That select committee hearing is happening at 9:30 this morning, and lots of people are saying whatever the conclusion is with that, you need to get on with it. Two wheels, small electric motors. You might have seen e-scooters like these whizzing through the streets. So in the UK, you can buy an e-scooter, but you can only legally use it on private land with the landowner's permission. If you want to ride around on the streets, you have to rent out an e-scooter like this one. Lots of areas across England are trialling electric scooters that you can rent. They're allowed on the road, except for motorways and in cycle lanes. But they're not allowed on the pavement and should only be used by one person at a time. Trial e-scooters are limited to a speed of 15.5 miles per hour. In some areas, this may be lower. And to use one, you'll need a full or provisional driving licence, meaning you'll have to be at least 16 years old. The government first launched e-scooter trials in 2020, and local authorities can extend the use of them until next year. Ministers say that will give them time to gather more evidence about how safe e-scooters are and their impacts on congestion. So, two sides to this. Let's speak with Sarah, who's from the National Federation for the Blind. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You've been to 18 hearings about e-scooters, the type that you can rent out, but you've also noticed more problems with private scooters. Talk us through the issues that they represent.
Oh, definitely. So I've been to 18 trials across England, and there's problems that e-scooters are left all over the pavements. They're causing trip hazards and obstructions, and the e-scooters have caused like rat runs on the pavement. So, people are riding them on pavements. We've got a lot of shared use pavements where cyclists, pedestrians and e-scooters can use it at the same time. That is causing a problem. The private ones, again, are just out of control. They're literally causing rat runs in towns and cities where cars can't even get. So, they're absolutely riding in front of people, behind people and scaring people.
But every time new technology is brought out to help with congestion, to improve road safety more generally, there are always teething problems. Is that not just what we're seeing here?
Well, you talk about road safety. The accident rate on these is like, they're more dangerous than a bike. They aren't a safe form of transport. So the trials have been, 2 years now? They've had time under regulation. They are regulated, and we're still seeing the problems. Even this morning I've seen the pavement full of e-scooters.
I just want Richard to come in because you manufacture e-scooters. I mean, is she right? Are they inherently dangerous, or is this about regulation? Is this about clarity for the public?
Yeah, it's not about, obviously, the issues for the blind, it's really important to sort it out, but that's all about regulation. They shouldn't be ridden on the pavements. And the problem we have is where there is no regulation, then imports are brought in, poor quality scooters, they're safer on the pavement, so they ride on the pavement. And actually, that the law as it stands at the moment, you get more of a fine if you're riding on the road than you do on the pavement. So it's a mad situation.
As a manufacturer, do you find that people are interested in the products, but the lack of clarity is stopping people buying them? Because I know you, for example, have decided it's better for your business to think about selling abroad. Now, that's no good for the UK economy, is it?
No, that's right. We set up an operation in LA. We were involved in the government consultation over 3 years ago. I'd been in the States working at Tesla, and I saw what happened when the rental scooters rolled out in San Francisco. We came back and told TfL.
And that was smooth, was it? You've not seen the issues that Sarah's been talking about in San Francisco?
No, it was a real problem. And we
Okay.
came back and said to the government, you should legalise these, but it'll be ownership. The model will be ownership. Rental is ridiculous. But because they didn't have any legislation, they had to go with rental. And they said, we'll do it for a year. And then they extended it for a year. And
Right.
they extended it for another year. And I think what you have to remember here, this is a climate emergency. Yes, it's really important that we sort out safety.
I just really quickly want to come back to Sarah, because could it be part of the solution? We know that in the past 2 years alone, more than 2 million e-scooters, legitimate ones, have been taken through local authorities. We need to hit that 2050 target with the right legislation, part of the solution?
Absolutely not. It's putting off people walking. It's taking people away from using public transport, stopping people cycling, being active and fit. So these cannot be regulated, and the government has to close the loophole to stop them being sold in the UK.
Sarah's saying absolutely not. Richard's saying yes if they're done safely. Great Western Railways have actually banned them because they represent a fire hazard, they say. And the Met Police say that current guidelines are taking up too much of their time. There is, they say, a void in legislation clarity. Now that meeting starts in around an hour's time. Lots to discuss there, because there is this 2050 target of carbon neutrality. The message from everybody is that if this is going to happen, it needs to be safe, and it needs to be soon.
It's really interesting, and it matters a lot to a lot of people, doesn't it, Nina? We know from the inbox. Thank you very much indeed.